Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about patch 8.2 of Battle for Azeroth, and more specifically, the brand new zone that's coming in that patch, Nazjatar. It's like a continent, I suppose. It's got a couple of zones inside it. So yeah, specifically, we're going to talk about a preview that we saw of this zone at BlizzCon 2018, and yes, it is a very early preview, but looking at this preview, there's probably a few things that you might have missed on the first time around. So in this video, we're going to talk about like random things in the background, try and kind of place some of these areas in line with the map that we saw of Nazjatar, and kind of talk about it and speculate on what's going to happen when we finally go to Nazjatar in patch 8.2. I did list this as 10 things. It's not going to be 10. It might be more, might be less. I don't know. But we're here. So what we're going to do is check out the video first, and then we're going to look at some of the concept art, which was also shown at BlizzCon, and kind of speculate on that. So let's begin by watching the video. It's about 50 seconds long, and it actually starts with a few concept arts. So this is the first one here. It's just this giant coral with a waterfall coming down, and I love the coloration in this. A big thing of Nazjatar is the coloration of a lot of the zones, and you'll see that in the video preview. So you have this image here, and then that moves into this one here, which looks like the same zone, and we'll specify which zone that is in a moment. So from this image, we fade into our first look at the zone in game, and as I said, it is an early preview, so this isn't exactly how it's going to look in game. They did say that it's a work in progress, so yeah, I mean, it's pretty damn impressive as it is. So this is a zone that I suspect is called the Kelp Forest, and it's this big kind of pink area here on the map. This kind of borders the ruins of Zin-Azshari and the boiling Terrace. And yeah, you can kind of tell that it is this. Look at the coloration. Look at it. There's giant coral everywhere. It's a very cool zone. The thing is with these previews, there are no NPCs in these previews, so you'll probably imagine there's going to be all sorts of creatures running about this area, probably like the crab people or anything like that. But these previews are strictly just zones. So the first thing that I noticed is this ruins in the background here. And you do see another angle of this in a second, but yeah, so this whole Nazjatar zone, I believe, is like a former Night Elf zone. I believe Zin-Azshari used to be some ancient Night Elven civilization, which you do actually see a preview in the Warbringer's Ashara, and it kind of looks like Santorini, which is really cool, and I'm kind of excited to see what the ruins of Zin-Azshari look like. You don't see it in this preview, sadly, but we did actually get a little look at Zin-Azshari during the Well of Eternity dungeon during Cataclysm, but it wasn't much of a good look, and I think they're probably going to redesign it for this patch and make it look a little bit more impressive than it did in that dungeon. So the clip continues, and you can see all this water dripping down off the coral, and it looks really great. Then you get this other look looking back on where we just came from. You can kind of see this is possibly the main alleyway going through the Kelp Forest, but yeah, it's a pretty cool looking zone, and I really like it. I think the way that Nazjatar works and what it looks like on at least the map and some of these previews is that it's kind of layered. It was confirmed that we will be able to fly in Nazjatar, which is pretty damn exciting. So you can kind of see on the map there, you've got the Horde and the Alliance Hub. I believe these will actually be outside of the water, similar to Vashir. Then you have the ship graveyard, which we'll talk about in a bit, which is slightly lower. Then the lowest part, you'll have the Kelp Forest, the Kelp Forest, and the ruins of Zin-Azshari. But that's just a speculation. I think that's possibly how it's going to work, as Nazjatar isn't underwater, but it was underwater, as you can see from kind of the big dripping corals and things like that, and it looks like there's like massive waterfalls all around the zone, and we'll talk about that in a bit. So as we move on from this clip, we move into a closer look at those ruins in this same zone again, and you can really see that they are Night Elven ruins, and you're probably going to get a lot of that around the zone. A lot of ancient Night Elven ruins just kind of scattered around areas in Nazjatar, leading up to the ruins of Zin-Azshari. So we move on from this zone, we go into an area that I speculate is potentially an area called the Boiling Terrace. I'm not really sure. It's definitely not the Kelp Forest, because we do see that very soon. Now, interestingly enough, look at the coloration of this zone. It's extremely similar to Azeroth. Yeah, it's very, the coloration, the purples, the yellows, the kind of the golds, it's very similar to Azeroth, which is very interesting. And I wonder if Azeroth will play a big part of this this zone. And another main part you see in this clip is actually in the background there. You can see the kind of edge of the waterfall. You can see a waterfall coming down off of the side of this kind of cliff face, which is really cool. And you can see it a little better at the start of the clip. This clip continues to zoom in and shows another angle of this exact same zone. Again, the coloration is so similar to Azeroth, it makes me a little bit suspicious, but I'm not too sure on that one. So then we move into an area called the Kelp Forest. Now, this is the Kelp Forest. It's got kelp everywhere. It's a forest. It's a Kelp Forest. Okay, this is a massive zone. Now, I'm not sure if Nazjatar will be split into different zones, or it will just be one large zone with different areas like the Kelp Forest, like the Coral Forest. Now, again, on the left-hand side here, we can see some ancient Night Elf ruins. Again, as I speculated, you can see some kelp kind of busting through the top of there, just showing how ancient they really are, where nature is taking it back. You can see here in the background as well, you've got these huge cliffs with water just pouring down on them. It seems like there's probably going to be some sort of cutscene where Nazjatar either rises from the water or the water kind of parts ways, similar to like Moses or something like that. It's going to be a really epic cutscene bringing into Nazjatar, and I really can't wait to see that in patch 8.2. So as we move on from this clip, we get another angle of the Kelp Forest and another really great look at these waterfalls coming down off the top there. Really nice. And I love these giant kelp things because they just look like trees, really. And, you know, essentially they've been underwater for years and years, and now they're here and they're still standing, and they're just these awesome looking, I guess, trees of sorts. If you look in the background as well, is that the ruins of a ship potentially as well? That's kind of cool. It's going to be awesome as well, because there is going to be little things like that, because it is, you know, essentially was underwater, and there would have been ships that have crashed and sunk all around that area. So there's going to be all little tidbits of things like that, and that's going to be really cool. So that potentially the background is a ship, and the clip fades to black. So on top of all the clips that we saw, we also had a few images of concept art. This one is one of my favorites. And what we're looking at here is possibly the ship graveyard, or the kind of perimeter of Nazjatar. You can see this Naga on the right-hand side coming out of this waterfall area. You can see the waterfall coming down off the sides as well, kind of showing that it is this kind of ditch in the water. Specifically, we don't know exactly where Nazjatar is going to be on the map. I think it's speculated to be near the Maelstrom, which is going to be kind of cool, which could potentially bring Thrall back as well. But that's a whole nother video for another time. In the background there, I suppose that's probably a Coltiran ship there, falling off the thing. It's going to be really cool to see if they have little interactions of that, of just ships falling off the side and things like that. That's going to be a really awesome thing. I really do like this this concept art here. And the final image we actually got was a look at the Eternal Palace of Azshari. This is actually going to be the raid zone of Nazjatar. This is located in the top middle of the zone. You can see it here on the map. And yeah, that is a really cool entrance. We do actually see a ancient version of this palace again in the Well of Eternity dungeon, which is really cool. It's nice to have that kind of, you know, old and new contrast. And I wonder how much of a reference they're going to use that dungeon as for the zone of Nazjatar. And this entrance is just awesome. You can see the top there. It's kind of voidy, very similar to the Void Elf Heritage Armor, strangely enough, in its design. I don't really know why, but I think that's just, you know, something they went with here. But yeah, there's definitely some Void aspects to this. The design is very, very similar to some of the weapons that we've seen in the Crucible of Storms, and I cannot wait to see what the gear sets and the weapons and things like that look like coming out of the Eternal Palace of Azshari. So that's pretty much it, guys. That is my breakdown of the little BlizzCon clip that we got, and a few little pieces of concept art. We didn't really get to look at the Naga military ward or the Naga dwellings. That's going to be very exciting when the PTR comes up very, very soon, possibly next week. So stay subscribed to the channel, guys. We've got a ton of content coming next week. As soon as that PTR's up, it's going to go crazy again, and you guys are going to get content non-stop. So before I go, I'd like to give a massive shout out to our amazing patrons, YouTube channel members, and Twitch subs. You guys are awesome. If you'd like to support the channel in any of those ways, links are down below. So leave a like on this video, guys, if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't. I've also got a partner Discord channel with over 3,000 members, and a merch store over in Streamlabs. And I've also now been streaming on twitch.tv/MrGM. As I said, the PTR is coming up very, very soon. I'm going to be on that PTR every single day as soon as it comes up. So if you want to check me out, if you want to see me checking out the PTR live on stream at twitch.tv/MrGM. I'm live right now, so if you want to check me out, link is in the description below this video. And with that, guys, I'll see you next time.